afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle, and I will be your instructor this afternoon. We're going to give it about a couple minutes to see if anybody else is going to join us. Okay, just to make sure, can everybody hear me? And if you can, please raise your hand. Great. And if you guys cannot hear me, let me know. This training session is going to go over how to use the desktop version for the business returns and how to also utilize it in case your internet was to go out. Then it does not stop you from being able to prepare returns, and you can just utilize the desktop version instead of the online version. Once the internet comes back online, then you can transmit the returns to the online version. So this is what the desktop version looks like. I am in the 1040 version of the package. If I was to come over here and start a new return, it would just be like the one online, ask for the social, and you can label it as something other than the file name that it already gives you. Once you go into it, and I've already got one in here, so I'm going to come in here and go in here, and it's going to be just like the online version. What you're going to be doing is getting the red out of the return and completing everything like name, date of birth, phone number, do they want to exclude, what filing status. And this does prompt you, like this up here says, I can actually file it on 1040 Easy. Going forward, the Easy and the 1040A will not be available. So you don't have to pick that. It does, like when you're coming in here, and you can easily put in your bank products. You can select EPS. The EPS will flow into here. You can also come down here, put the practitioner pin for yourself. You can set defaults just like you would in the online version. So before you even begin to complete any returns in here, what you're going to want to do is set up the desktop version. You'll actually go to where it's my CIT, joincit.com, and you can download the desktop version from there. and get it installed. So if you actually come to my.join.com and all that, on the software, you can actually see the desktop download. And you can go ahead and download the 2017 version. What you'll also want to do is come over here to the support site. And under Prepare Solutions, go to Product Updates. If you're not already logged in, log in. Oh, so we have new security enhancements now. So this is new for this season, and I'm glad that it came up so that way I can show you guys so you can utilize it for future references. So now it's going to be a two-step process for you to be able to get like into the online version and into the support site. So I'm going to verify my identity. I'm going to send the code to my email. And I've got it. So now that I've got it, I'm going to copy and paste it. And I can actually say trust this device for 90 days if I wanted to. That way it won't ask again for another 90 days. So now that I've already done that, I've come into the support site to where it says program updates. They're gonna, now it's defaulting to 2018, but as of right now, I actually do have access to 2018. And once I get everything in plan, I will actually go over all of the updates with you guys. So I'm going to switch it over here to 2017. Left-hand side, you're going to actually have your comprehensive update. And then the right-hand side, you'll have your form update like your 1040 and your business forms. If you come over here to the state updates, you'll be able to go to add a state to my package. And you'll notice that I already have like Alabama, California, Georgia. But when you go to add a state, it's going to ask you to add it for either the individual or the business. And then when you check it off, it will prompt you to say, okay, are you sure you want to add it? Once it's been added and you go back over here to the state updates, it'll actually be in here. And this little box right here with the arrow pointing down is what you're going to want to do. So if I click it, you'll see that I have a download in the bottom left. Anytime you run these updates, make sure that the TaxWise program has been closed. Run the updates, go back into the TaxWise program. It'll be all current and up to date because that's what you want to make sure that it's currently up to date, especially if you need to utilize it. You don't want to be able to tell your customer, oh, well, this is the refund that you're getting and it's not currently updated. And when you pull it into TaxWise Online, it has a different figure. So while in the admin user, so I'm going to switch it over to my admin user so that way I can show you the administrative functions on how to set up the defaults and things like that. So I'm going to come over here to Tools, and I'm going to go over here to Utility Setup Assistant. And once this box appears, I'm going to come over here to Setup, and I'm going to go to Setup Assistant. When you first initially install the software, this is the window that you're going to get to be able to put all of this information in. When you come over here to where it says groups and users, if you have multiple users in the office, this is where you're going to add them to users. If you're just by yourself, you can go into the guest user and create the returns. It doesn't matter. But if you need to create like a specific group other than the ones that are in here, then you can hit new, you can label it and put all the functions that you want that user to have. So when you come back over here to the user tab and you go to new and you put it all in here, it gives you the option to be able to select your customized one. So that way you know that they can only prepare returns and they can't do nothing else. Once you've set up the username and the password, just hand it over to the preparer so that way they can log in case the internet goes down. Preparer information is a great way to save time. I've already got my preparer information in here, but if you go to new and if I come over here and edit it, you'll see I've got my prepare ID set to 1. So in case it ever does not come in, all I've got to do is hit 1 and hit tab, or move my mouse over to the next box, and it will pull in the information so I don't have to key everything in. So I'm going to hit save and close. I'm also going to come over here to setup, and I'm going to go to view, edit, print packets in case you have to print out a copy of the return while you're waiting for the internet to come back on. Then you can easily select like your signature pages or your file copy or the taxpayer federal or state copy, and you can decide what exactly you want to be able to print out. You can also select this button where it says print completed forms, because when you do your tax form defaults, you may have a lot of forms in the forms tree that you may never use, and you don't really want to print every single form that's in the return. You may just want to print the completed forms. So once that happens, just hit save, and it'll bring you back down here. So I'm going to hit X. I'm going to come back over to the tools, and I'm going to go to edit tax form defaults. It's going to ask me which package I want it to do for, and those of you who just use it for business returns and don't want to do a 1040, that's fine. You can go and do one for a fiduciary partnership or anything else. I'm going to go into a 1040, that way I have it set up just in case, and I'm going to hit yes. Anything that I add in here, when you create a new return, it will be pulled in. So if I have no for Puerto Rico, because most of my clients do not exclude Puerto Rico, and then I can always have it set to bank product and have it set to EPS. Then I can have my Georgia already pulled in. I can put my PIN in here. I can select this, and I can select for this income tax. So that way it's already defaulted. I've already got it selected to I authorize. So that way my information pulls down here. I have my prepare information already in here. So anyways, even if it's on a new return and I don't use the tax form defaults, all I got to do is hit 1 and hit tab, and it pulls all that information in. So I can enter like the W-2s, 1099s. I can come over here to the 8867 and already have that pre-filled out. So it saves me a little bit of time. So when I'm doing the return, I can also come over here to the price list and start entering my pricing on here. So that way I know that if I use a 1040 and I put it as $5, or if I come down here to the W-2, put that as $5 for every W-2 that gets entered into the system, that way the pricing will pull over all of my fees. I don't have to do it that way. I can easily come down here to where it says other, say tax prep fees, and put an amount in there. I have the capability of charging by form, charging by time, giving them a discount. I can say referral. I can put a percentage or an amount in there so that I know. So I'm going to go ahead and put everything that I know that I can default. I'll close it. It saves it. In order to get this over to any of the other preparers in the office, especially if you're just utilizing the desktop, what you'll want to do is come back over here to Tools and go back to Utility Setup Assistant. Come over here to File, go to Return Explorer, and in the show, you're going to scroll all the way to the top and select Tax Form Defaults. Tax Form Defaults are always 7, which is 2017. I is individual, and a bunch of zeros. If you select it and you come down here to Action, you can say Copy Files to another location, and you can say Copy Files to all users, or if you're creating different pricing for each of your preparers or different templates, like you can have certain users set up as, okay, well, I'm going to label this user as EIC head of household. So anybody that comes in, because I know there's a lot of people that have EIC in their head of household, we're going to put all the returns under here. Or business returns under a business user, and I'm going to label it as that. So I can come in here and say, okay, well, I only want this to go to the guest user. So, or to Michelle's user. Once I select it, I hit copy. It's going to say yes. I'm going to say yes to all, so I don't get that. And it'll say file copy was successful. So when I create that new return, it's going to pull in all of those defaults that I had set in the tax form defaults. Once we have that established, then you can start preparing tax returns. And let me switch it over, because when you normally log in, you will actually get prompted first off. If you want to change the package, this is just going to come up here. And I have it set to do not auto show because I really don't want to see it. So I'm going to select OK. And it's automatically going to bring up my next window, which is my return list. I have that to do not auto show because I don't like to see the screens. But I can easily go into a return, or I can create a new return and not have those windows. So I have a 1065 already prepared in the system. But let me go back over to the 1040 because I got to show you how to transfer it to online. So when you come over here to communications, and I've got to change the package back to the 1040 because it will not allow you to do it in the business returns. Somebody had a question: do defaults have to be entered before importing prior clients? So the way that the tax form defaults, it only applies to any of the new returns. So if you already have pre-existing returns that you've either converted or carried over from one year to the next, it's not going to apply to it. Once the internet comes back online and you need to transmit all of your returns to the online version, what you'll do is you'll come over here to communications. First thing on the list under the 1040 package is transfer to TaxWise online. When you select that, it's going to give you the capability, like this little box that's grayed out says select all, or you can select just the ones that you want to transfer up there and then hit send. When you come into the online version, and let me get to my online version. Let's get logged into here. And on a daily basis, I go through an identity of I'm not a robot. And I'm sure the rest of you do as well. But when you come over here to your tax return menu, and right here where it says view more actions, you can import your returns from the desktop. So that way it flows in here. You can e-file the return, send it over to the bank, and all that kind of good stuff. Now, does anybody have any questions as far as the individual forms and returns go? So I'm going to change the package, which I really don't have to because I already have a return in here. But if you are creating a new return, let's say that I'm going to change it over to a 1065. And if I'm not in the admin user, this is a good thing to tell you. I know that with the online version, you do have the capability of being able to open or start a new return in the admin user. With the desktop version, you do not. You actually have to be in one of the sub users. So I will have to actually change the user over to the guest user. And this is where I can actually start a new return in whichever package that I need as far as 1120, 1120S, things like that. Since I already have one in here, I'm going to go ahead and open up my 1065. And I've got every single thing filled out, and you'll notice that I have a bunch of blue check marks. That's what you're looking for. If there was something that was in here that needed to be done, it would have a red exclamation mark. So I would have to come in here and enter the information, and it will take the red out. So I'm just going through the return and filling out all the information that is required as far as my 1065 goes. And I can easily come over here to where it says, is a state return required, or did the partnership pay federal or state estimated tax? I said yes. So when you say yes, this form right here, which says state/EST, is where you can select the business states that you want into the return. So I've got Georgia selected, so it brought in my Georgia return as well. So I'm going to come in here, fill out all of my information as far as this goes. Once I'm done with the return, I can come over here just like in the online version and go to diagnostics to see about any error checking. If there was anything like the numbers of partners in the partnership must be between 2 and 9 million, less than a billion. And there must be at least 2 Schedule K1s present. Certain instances, I know with business returns, there may just be one partner, and the way that you have to handle it is you do have to add 2 partners in here and 2 K1s. On the K1s, when you're filling them out, you have to list the name exactly the same on each and just split it down the middle, so that way you have that into the return and then you can e-file it. Once there's no diagnostics errors, then there is the e-file button that's right here. You select it, it creates the e-file. Somebody else had a question. How do you remove a state tax return from the business return if it has already been added? So if we're on the state thing and I close it and I deselect Georgia, I can come over here to where it says Georgia. It says you enter the following, but I can come over here to where it says Georgia and it goes away. Once I deselect it, it goes away. So make sure before you do that, if you're going to need any kind of information, I would print it to at least be able to print it to a PDF just in case you need those figures, and then go to the state EST and remove it. So once the e-file has been created, you can come over here to where it says communications and go to send federal state returns, and it will ask you if you want to close the return, which we will. We'll say yes. And in the list, it will put all of the e-files that were created to disk, and you can select them and hit send. It will open up another window to where it's communicating with the EFC to be able to submit it so we can send it over to the IRS. Now, does anybody have any questions about business returns or wants to be shown anything as far as that goes? Another question was, I noticed last year the Texas franchise tax was not transmitted properly. I had to send them individually. How can we be certain it does transmit? When you go and send the federal state return and you select it and you hit send, and when the EFC comes up, there is a button in the list that says tax return. And if it doesn't check off, you know something was not submitted. You also get a transmittal file after that to show you what's been transmitted. Now, there are certain circumstances that I know that they'll send the federal before they will send the state, and you will actually have to go back in there once the federal has been acknowledged to send the state. You're very welcome. Now, let me show you some neat tricks that you can actually put in here. When you first install it, it's going to give you your home tab and the CIT support tab that's right here. I've also added the support site tab and my EPS if I solely use the desktop version for EPS. So if I come over here to tools, I can easily go to the browser tabs and add a new tab. and label it and then put in the URL in here. So that way I have access at my fingertips to be able to go to the EPS login screen, to be able to go to the support site, to go to our CIT support site. I also have the capability, like if I wanted to put it in here to where I also want the knowledge base, just in case I want to go looking for certain things that may be happening and the office may not be open at the time in the middle of the night and I need to figure out how to fix this, then you can actually put a tab in here for the knowledge base. It takes you over there so that way you can look up common errors and how to fix them. So again, you go to tools and you go to browser tabs and go to add new tab. Let's close that and let's go back to the dashboard. As of right now, the online version is only for 1040s. I would love to be able to see the business returns in there so that way you guys can have a shared database rather than a separate database. But no, you cannot import your business tax to the online version. We are looking for, as far as the online version should be coming out this week. As far as the desktop version, it should be out today, from what I'm being told. But I can go ahead and make sure to ask, because it looks like when I logged into my support site, they're getting ready to release it. So it says, please select a year to download, and it's already starting to default to 2018. If you come over here to download and you go to TaxWise software, it should be listed there, but since I don't have it, you may be able to see it. And then we will eventually get it put up right here to where it says 2018. Just let me ask to make sure to tell you. And of course, I don't think they're going to actually change anything, but like if you go up here to where it says twonline-17.taxwise.com, more than likely they will have the address the same, except for the 17 will be 18. And then, of course, if you don't already know, when you're in the 18 version, come over here to the three little dots at the top right corner, go to More Tools, and go to Create Shortcut. And I would actually label it as 2018 CIT TWO, so you know that it's the online version. So when it creates the desktop icon, you are looking at right here, my 2017 CIT TaxWise Online. So you know that when you double click it, it takes you directly to the login. So TaxWise is officially going to probably release theirs tomorrow for the desktop version. Hopefully, it is for the online version as well. So keep a lookout for it for tomorrow, so that way you can go ahead and get everything installed and set up. Both online and desktop are going to be released tomorrow. Awesome. So go ahead and get everything set up. Once you get in there tomorrow, go ahead and put the bookmark and the desktop icon, get it all up to date if there's any updates to apply, so that way you can hit the ground running. So does anybody else have any other questions or would like to be shown something else? Somebody else had a question. Can all prior TaxWise online versions be put as an icon on the desktop? Yes. As long as you go to the URL and you log in, then just go to the three dots like I showed you to set up the shortcuts for the desktop. And I think as far as 2011 and 2012 goes, you'll end up having to create a shortcut in Internet Explorer, because that's when they first initially brought out TaxWise Online and it wasn't ready for Google Chrome. I know that some of you may not like Google Chrome and prefer to either use Edge or Internet Explorer. I just want to let you know, to be forewarned, if you do use Internet Explorer or Edge, it may cause some data, like calculation issues and things like that. So always be aware of it, because they're buggy to begin with, and they cause a lot of issues anyways. Somebody also asked, will we have any additional security requirements this year for using the online portal? I know that the verification process that you saw when I first logged into online is one of those. Let me make sure to check. Okay, so yeah, it's just going to be what they call the multi-factor authentication, which is the two-step verification. So that way you'll be sent a code via your email. You'll have to put that code into whatever you're logged into as far as like the portal or the online version or the support site. So that way they can verify that you are who you are by logging in. Another question was, so our preparers will be assigned one also? Yes. Anybody that is listed as a user or an admin in the office will have to do the two-step verification. You're very welcome. I'm going to stick around for a few more minutes in case anybody has any questions or wants to be shown something. Just let me know. So another question was, two-step is just once every 90 days. If you select that box like I selected to remember for 90 days not to ask for it again, then yes, it won't ask for at least a good 90 days. Or it'll remember the computer that you're on. So keep in mind, like if you're in the online version and you're at the office and you utilize it there, but you go home, you log into your laptop, it's going to require you do a two-step verification. But you do have the option to select it, not to ask for 90 days. I hope everybody has a wonderful day.